Today I ask you to set aside every distraction and simply listen. I have been with you through every silent night, every unanswered prayer, and every burden you carried without telling anyone. What you believed was another ordinary day is not ordinary at all. Before this moment ever reached you, I had already prepared it. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal will help you understand why your waiting has never been without purpose. Today, I want you to slow down for just a moment. Before another thought fills your mind, listen carefully to what I have been preparing for your heart. You may believe that this moment began when your eyes found this message, when your hand reached for the screen, or when curiosity led you here. But I tell you the truth, it began long before today, long before this hour, long before you even knew you needed these words. I have never been limited by time, and I have never waited until the last moment to begin my work in your life. While you were living through ordinary days, I was quietly arranging extraordinary moments that would one day remind you that I had never stopped watching over you. Many people believe that life is shaped only by coincidence. They look back and call every unexpected meeting, every delayed plan, and every surprising opportunity an accident. But my ways are higher than human understanding. What people often dismiss as chance, I have already woven together with purpose. I can use a conversation you almost avoided, a road you never intended to travel, or even a season of disappointment to guide you toward the place where you truly belong. What appears random to human eyes is often part of a design that has been unfolding quietly for years. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from by sharing your city, state, or country in the comments. It is a blessing to see hearts gathering from so many places. As you read the comments, take a moment to pray for someone you have never met. You never know who may need your prayer today, and together we can remind one another that no one walks this journey alone. Think about your own journey. How many moments once seemed meaningless, only to reveal their purpose later? Perhaps you met someone who encouraged your faith when you were close to giving up. Perhaps a closed door protected you from a path that would have brought lasting pain. Maybe a delay that frustrated you became the very reason you were ready for a blessing you could not have handled before. At the time, you could not see the full picture, but I never lost sight of it. I was working beyond what your eyes could see, preparing connections, shaping circumstances, and strengthening your heart long before the answers arrived. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that I am only present when they witness something dramatic. They wait for thunder from heaven, for unmistakable signs, for miracles so extraordinary that no explanation seems possible. When those things do not happen immediately, they begin to wonder if I have become silent or distant. But my presence is not measured by dramatic events. More often than not, I speak in ways that require a heart willing to listen, rather than eyes searching for spectacle. Remember the young Samuel. He was serving faithfully, yet he did not recognize my voice when I called his name. 3 times he heard me, and 3 times he thought someone else was speaking. It was only after Eli guided him that Samuel answered, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." I did not stop calling because he failed to recognize my voice the first time. I continued to call until his heart became ready to respond. In that simple moment of listening, the course of his life changed forever. Before Samuel became a prophet, he first became a listener. In the same way, I have been speaking into your life more often than you realize. Sometimes I speak through quiet peace that settles over your heart when everything around you feels uncertain. Sometimes I speak through scripture that suddenly seems written just for your situation. Sometimes I speak through the kindness of a stranger, the wisdom of a trusted friend, or even through the silence that teaches you to trust me instead of relying only on your own understanding. My voice is not absent because it is gentle. It is often found where pride is quiet and where faith is willing to wait. Do not overlook the ordinary moments, because many of my greatest works begin there. Seeds are planted quietly beneath the soil long before anyone sees a harvest. A sunrise begins while the world is still covered in darkness. In the same way, My plans often begin long before visible change appears. What you cannot yet see is not evidence that I am doing nothing. It is often evidence that I am laying a foundation strong enough to support what I have promised. Today, I invite you to exchange the habit of constantly looking for signs with the practice of faithfully listening. Faith does not begin when every question has been answered. Faith begins when you trust my voice, even before you understand my plan. The heart that learns to listen will discover my guidance in places where others hear only silence. The person who walks with me does not need constant proof because my presence becomes greater than any visible sign. If this message has encouraged your heart, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so you won't miss the messages I have prepared for you in the days ahead. And if you know someone who is walking through a season of waiting, share this message with them. Your simple act of kindness may become the answer to someone else's prayer today. So before you ask me for another miracle, allow me to shape your heart into one that recognizes my voice. Before you search for extraordinary evidence, learn to treasure the quiet moments where I am already speaking. The journey ahead is not simply about receiving what you have prayed for. It is about becoming the person who will recognize my hand in every season. And that leads us to something many people struggle to understand. If I have been with you all along, why have there been seasons when heaven seemed completely silent? Why would a loving father allow his children to wait without immediate answers? In the next part, I will show you why my silence has never meant my absence and why some of the greatest transformations begin in the quiet places where faith learns to grow. Have you ever wondered why the seasons that feel the quietest often become the ones that change your life the most? There have been moments when you prayed with all your heart, yet the answer did not come as quickly as you hoped. You kept believing, kept waiting, and kept looking for even the smallest sign that I was moving. But instead of hearing thunder, you were met with silence. Instead of seeing immediate change, another ordinary day came and went. In those moments, it is easy to believe that heaven has grown distant. It is easy to wonder if I have forgotten your name or if your prayers somehow failed to reach me. But hear me carefully. My silence has never been my absence. There is a difference between being silent and being gone. A loving father does not stop loving his child simply because he is quietly watching them take their next steps. In the same way, I have never stepped away from your life. Even when you could not hear my voice, my hand was still guiding your path. Even when you could not see me working, I was already preparing what you would one day receive. Many people expect me to work only through dramatic moments. They look for sudden miracles, immediate breakthroughs, or unmistakable signs from heaven. Yet some of my greatest works begin where no one is looking. Roots grow deep beneath the ground long before branches reach toward the sky. A sculptor spends countless hours shaping what no one else can yet recognize. In the same way, I often do my deepest work in the quiet places of your life. Sometimes my silence is meant to strengthen you. Faith that depends only on visible answers remains fragile. But faith that continues trusting, even when nothing seems to change, becomes steady and unshakable. When every circumstance encourages you to give up, yet you continue walking with me, something beautiful begins to grow inside you. Your confidence is no longer built on emotions or circumstances. It becomes anchored in my character. Sometimes my silence is meant to protect you. There have been doors you desperately wanted me to open, yet I lovingly kept them closed. At the time, you called it disappointment. Later, you called it mercy. There were relationships that ended, opportunities that disappeared, and plans that suddenly fell apart. You thought you were losing something valuable, but I was protecting you from pain you could not yet foresee. I could see the entire road while you could only see the next step. And sometimes my silence is meant to prepare you. Preparation is rarely comfortable, but it is always valuable. Before I entrust greater responsibility, I first shape the heart that will carry it. Before I answer certain prayers, I develop the wisdom needed to handle the answer well. I care far more about who you are becoming than how quickly your circumstances change. Think about Joseph. I gave him a dream while he was still young, but I did not immediately place him in the palace. There were years of misunderstanding, betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and imprisonment. To human eyes, it looked as though I had abandoned my promise. Yet every difficult season was preparing him for the position I had already planned. Had Joseph become a ruler before those years of refinement, he would not have possessed the humility, wisdom, or compassion needed to save countless lives. Remember David as well. I chose him and had him anointed as king while he was still a shepherd. Yet after the anointing came years of hiding, fleeing, and waiting. He lived in caves instead of a palace. He faced fear instead of celebration. If David had judged my faithfulness only by his circumstances, he might have concluded that I had forgotten him, but every lonely season was shaping a shepherd into a king after my own heart. Perhaps your story feels similar today. You expected life to move faster. You thought healing would come sooner. You believed that certain prayers would already have been answered by now. Instead, you find yourself waiting once again. Do not mistake waiting for rejection. Do not mistake silence for abandonment. Do not believe that because you cannot see me working, I have stopped working. One of the greatest mistakes people make is measuring my presence by their feelings. Some days you may feel close to me. Other days you may feel completely alone. But my faithfulness has never depended on your emotions. I remain the same yesterday, today, and forever. My promises do not weaken because your heart grows tired. My love does not disappear because your strength feels small. Think about a sunrise. Long before the first ray of light reaches the horizon, dawn has already begun. The darkness does not mean the sun has ceased to exist. It simply means the appointed moment has not yet arrived. In the same way, what feels like silence is often the final stretch before you begin to recognize what I have been doing all along. So let this season teach you something precious. Do not waste the quiet moments by filling them with fear. Fill them with trust. Speak to me even when you do not hear an immediate answer. Open my word even when your heart feels weary. Continue taking faithful steps, because every step of obedience is preparing you for what comes next. Very soon I will show you that waiting was never the end of your story. While you thought you were simply standing still, I was shaping someone stronger, wiser, and more faithful than you ever imagined. And that is exactly where we are going next, because before I change your circumstances, I always begin by transforming the person who is waiting. While you were asking me to change your situation, I was quietly transforming the person who would one day receive the answer. Many of my children spend years praying for a different circumstance. They ask for healing, provision, restored relationships, open doors, or long-awaited opportunities. These prayers matter to me, and I hear every one of them. But there is something even more important than changing your circumstances. Before I place a blessing into your hands, I prepare the heart that will carry it wisely. The greatest gift I can give you is not simply a better life. It is a transformed life. Think about it this way. If someone is handed a great treasure without learning how to protect it, they will soon lose it. If a person is given great influence without humility, pride will eventually destroy what was entrusted to them. If success arrives before character is formed, success itself can become a burden instead of a blessing. That is why I never separate my gifts from my preparation. People often pray for comfort, but I am far more concerned with character. Comfort changes your surroundings. Character changes your life. Comfort may last for a season. Character will guide every season that follows. This is why I sometimes allow you to walk through experiences that stretch your faith instead of removing every challenge immediately. I am not trying to make your journey harder. I am making your foundation stronger. One of the first qualities I develop is humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is learning to depend on me more than you depend on your own strength. The world often celebrates those who promote themselves, but my kingdom is different. I lift up those who trust me more than they trust their own abilities. When you stop believing that you must carry every burden alone, you begin to experience the peace that comes from placing your life into my hands. Then comes patience. Patience is not simply waiting. It is learning to wait without allowing fear, bitterness, or frustration to take control of your heart. Anyone can trust me when answers come quickly. Mature faith continues, trusting even when the calendar keeps turning and nothing appears to change. Every day you choose faith over discouragement, your roots grow deeper than you can imagine. I also shape obedience. Obedience is rarely convenient, yet it always leads to freedom. There will be moments when I ask you to forgive before you receive an apology. I may ask you to remain faithful when no one notices your efforts. I may ask you to keep walking when the destination is still hidden. Obedience is not about understanding every detail of my plan. It is about trusting the one who already sees the entire journey. Another treasure I build within you is integrity. Integrity means becoming the same person in private that you appear to be in public. It means choosing honesty when deception seems easier. It means doing what is right even when no one is watching. Those quiet decisions may seem small, but heaven never overlooks them. Every act of integrity becomes another stone in the foundation I am building beneath your life. Look at Moses. When he was young, he believed he could accomplish my purpose through his own strength. His passion was real, but his character was not yet ready. After fleeing into the wilderness, he spent many years living as a shepherd. To human eyes, those years looked wasted. Yet every quiet day in the desert was teaching him patience, dependence, and gentleness. Before Moses could lead a nation, he first had to learn how to follow me. The wilderness was not a punishment. It was a classroom. Now think about Abraham. When I promised him descendants as countless as the stars, he could not see how such a promise could ever become reality. Year after year passed without the fulfillment he expected. Waiting tested his faith in ways he never imagined. Although he stumbled at times, I continued shaping his trust until he learned that my promises depend on my faithfulness, not human ability. By the time the promise was fulfilled, Abraham had become a different man than the one who first heard my voice. Perhaps you have been asking why your answer has taken so long. Maybe the better question is this: who are you becoming while you wait? That question has the power to change everything. One of the greatest mistakes people make is focusing entirely on the destination while ignoring the transformation taking place during the journey. They want the blessing, but not the process. They desire the harvest, but resist the season of planting. They ask for influence, yet avoid the quiet lessons that teach humility. They pray for peace, yet refuse to release the bitterness they continue carrying. Do not miss what I am doing inside you, because you are only watching what is happening around you. The person you become will remain with you long after the blessing arrives. So instead of asking only, "Lord, when will my situation change?" begin asking, "Lord, what are you teaching me today?" That simple prayer opens your heart to growth that no circumstance can ever take away. The day will come when you look back and realize that the greatest miracle was not simply the answer you received. It was the person you became while waiting for it. But there is another truth you also need to understand. Not every delay comes because I am shaping your character. Sometimes I am protecting you from battles you cannot yet see and closing doors that would have brought unnecessary pain. In the next part, I will reveal why some of the greatest acts of my love are the ones that feel like closed doors. Not every closed door was a loss. Some were acts of protection that you could not recognize at the time. There have been moments when you stood before a door that seemed perfect. You prayed over it. You believed it was the answer you had been waiting for, yet somehow it never opened. The opportunity disappeared. The relationship ended. The plan fell apart. In your disappointment, you wondered why I had allowed it to happen. You questioned whether you had made a mistake, whether your prayers had been ignored, or whether I was withholding something good from you. But what if the very thing you called a disappointment was actually one of my greatest acts of love? My child, you can only see what is in front of you. I see what is ahead of you. You see today. I see tomorrow. You see one decision. I see an entire lifetime. That is why there are moments when I lovingly close doors that you would have walked through without hesitation. I do not close them to punish you. I close them to protect you from pain you cannot yet imagine. Many of the greatest battles in your life have never been visible to your eyes. While you worried about what was happening around you, there were battles taking place beyond your understanding. There were dangers you never knew existed, conversations you never heard, and consequences you could not foresee. You were asking me to remove an obstacle, while I was removing something far more dangerous that stood beyond it. This is why you must learn the difference between protection and rejection. Rejection tells you that you are unwanted. Protection tells you that something better is being preserved. The two may feel similar for a moment, but they lead to completely different endings. When people reject you, it is easy to believe that your value has been diminished, but your worth has never depended on the acceptance of others. It has always rested in the one who created you. If I close a door, it is not because I have forgotten you. It is because I know where that road would eventually lead. Remember Balaam. He was determined to continue on a path that seemed profitable in his own eyes. Everything appeared to be moving forward, yet an angel of the Lord stood in the road to stop him. Balaam could not see what his donkey saw. He became frustrated because he believed something was blocking his progress. In reality, what he called an obstacle was saving his life. How often has that happened in your own journey? There were times when delays irritated you. There were interruptions that made no sense. There were plans that suddenly collapsed without warning. You thought everything was going wrong, but perhaps I was simply placing my hand in front of danger before you ever reached it. Think about Jonah. When he chose to run from the purpose I had given him, he believed he was escaping responsibility. Yet the storm that interrupted his journey was not sent to destroy him. It was sent to redirect him. Even inside the great fish, I had not abandoned Jonah. I was preserving his life while turning his heart back toward the purpose for which I had created him. Sometimes I allow storms because calm waters would have carried you farther away from my will. That is difficult to understand at the moment, but one day you will look back and recognize my mercy hidden within your greatest interruptions. One of the most common mistakes people make is assuming that every hardship is a punishment. That simply is not true. Not every delay is discipline. Not every closed door is a failure. Not every disappointment is evidence that I am angry with you. Sometimes what feels like loss is actually rescue. Imagine a parent stopping a small child from running into a busy street. The child may cry because they do not understand why they were held back. From the child's perspective, freedom was taken away. From the parent's perspective, a life was saved. In much the same way, there have been moments when you asked me, "Why did you stop this from happening?" Someday that question will become, "Thank you for not allowing it." You may never fully know how many dangers I have quietly carried you around, how many wrong turns I redirected, how many relationships I prevented, how many words I kept from reaching your heart, how many unseen battles were fought on your behalf while you slept peacefully through the night. You often celebrate the blessings you receive, but rarely consider the disasters you never experienced because my hand was already covering you. That is also part of my faithfulness. So when another door closes, do not rush to believe that your story is over. Pause. Pray. Trust me long enough to see what I may be protecting you from. One closed door can preserve your peace. One unanswered prayer can redirect your future. One unexpected delay can save years of unnecessary pain. That is why wisdom learns to ask a different question. Instead of asking, "Lord, why did this happen to me?" begin asking, "Lord, what are you protecting me from that I cannot yet see?" That simple shift changes disappointment into trust. It transforms fear into peace. It reminds you that even when you do not understand my decisions, you can still trust my heart. The day will come when the pieces of your story fit together, and you will discover that some of the doors you cried over were the very ones that kept you on the path I had lovingly prepared for you all along. And once you begin to understand that my protection is never separate from my love, you are ready to discover another truth that many people struggle to accept. My timing is just as important as my direction. Even when I have prepared the right blessing, I will never release it before the right moment. That is where we are going next. What feels late to you has never been late in my hands. I know there have been days when you looked at your life and quietly asked, "Lord, why is everyone else moving ahead while I am still waiting?" Perhaps you watched others celebrate milestones you had prayed for. You saw doors open for them while yours remained closed. You wondered if you had missed your opportunity or if somehow time had passed you by. But my child, I do not measure your life by the world's calendar. I measure it by my perfect wisdom. Human timing is driven by urgency. My timing is guided by purpose. The world tells you that if something has not happened by a certain age, then you are falling behind. It teaches you to compare your journey with the lives of others. It whispers that faster is always better and that waiting must mean failure. But my kingdom has never operated that way. A farmer never becomes frustrated because the harvest does not appear the day after the seed is planted. He understands that healthy growth requires seasons that cannot be rushed. If he tries to harvest too early, he destroys what was meant to flourish. Your life is no different. Some blessings become dangerous when they arrive before you are ready to carry them. Imagine giving a young child the keys to a powerful car. The gift itself is not bad, but the timing is. What could have become a blessing would instead become a tragedy, because maturity had not yet caught up with opportunity. That is why I never rush my promises. I am not delaying because I enjoy watching you wait. I am delaying because I love you too much to give you something before it will truly bless you. Remember Sarah. When I promised that she would become the mother of nations, every passing year seemed to make that promise more impossible. Human logic said the opportunity had expired. Time appeared to have won. Yet what seemed impossible to people remained completely possible in my hands. If I had fulfilled the promise according to human expectations, people might have credited circumstances or human strength. Instead, I waited until everyone could clearly see that only I could accomplish what had been promised. My timing turned an ordinary birth into a testimony that has encouraged generations. Now think about Lazarus. When word reached me that Lazarus was sick, many believed I should have come immediately. To those watching, every hour mattered. When Lazarus died, it seemed as though I had arrived too late. His sisters struggled to understand why I had delayed. But I was never late. What looked like a delay was preparing the way for a greater miracle than anyone expected. If I had arrived earlier, they would have seen healing. Because I arrived when I did, they witnessed resurrection. Never assume that my delay means I have forgotten you. Sometimes I wait because I have something greater in mind than what you are asking for. You often pray for relief. Sometimes I am preparing for renewal. You pray for one open door. I may be preparing an entirely new path. You ask me to solve today's problem. I am already working on tomorrow's purpose. This is why comparing your journey with someone else's is one of the greatest traps you can fall into. Comparison quietly steals gratitude. It replaces peace with anxiety. Instead of celebrating what I am doing in your own life, you begin measuring yourself against people whose stories were never meant to be yours. You cannot compare seeds planted in different fields. Each one grows according to its own season. Some flowers bloom in early spring. Others reveal their beauty much later. Neither one is forgotten. Each simply follows the season for which it was created. The same is true for you. I have never asked you to keep pace with someone else's calling. I have only asked you to walk faithfully in the path I have prepared for you. There may be moments when it feels as though nothing is changing, but beneath the surface I am arranging details you cannot yet see. I am aligning people, opening conversations, closing dangerous opportunities, strengthening your heart, and preparing circumstances that will eventually come together at exactly the right moment. One day, you will look back and realize that what felt like an unbearable delay actually prevented unnecessary heartache. You will recognize that had I answered your prayer 6 months earlier or 5 years sooner, the blessing might have become a burden because the season was not yet ready. The world celebrates speed. I celebrate wisdom. The world rewards impatience. I reward faithfulness. The world tells you to force open every door. I teach you to trust the one who already holds every key. So when your heart begins asking, "Lord, why is this taking so long?" remember that my calendar has never failed. Every promise I make carries an appointed time, not an accidental time, not a delayed time, an appointed time. Until that day arrives, keep walking faithfully. Continue serving with joy. Continue praying with confidence. Continue trusting even when your eyes cannot yet see what your faith already knows. Because when my timing and my purpose meet, no force on earth can stop what I have already ordained. And before that appointed season fully arrives, there is one more lesson your heart must understand. Waiting itself is not usually what causes people to lose hope. More often, it is the quiet mistakes they make while they are waiting. That is what I want to reveal to you next. Before the next chapter begins, there are a few traps I want you to recognize. Not every battle begins with a loud temptation. Many of the greatest dangers to your faith arrive quietly. They do not announce themselves. They slowly settle into your thoughts until they begin shaping the way you see me, yourself, and your future. That is why I want to help you recognize these hidden traps before they take root in your heart. The enemy often works through small compromises before he ever attempts great ones, but my truth has the power to expose every lie. The first trap is comparison. Comparison quietly steals joy from grateful hearts. It causes you to look at another person's blessings while forgetting everything I have already placed in your own life. You begin asking why someone else's prayers seem to be answered first. You measure your journey against people whose path was never meant to be yours. Remember Peter, after my resurrection? When I revealed part of his future, his first question was about John. "Lord, what about him?" My answer was simple. "What is that to you? You follow me." That lesson still speaks today. Your calling was never designed to look exactly like someone else's. I have written a unique story for every life. When you spend too much time watching another person's path, you often miss the beautiful work I am doing in your own. Instead of comparing, choose gratitude. Gratitude opens your eyes to blessings that comparison keeps hidden. The second trap is discouragement. Discouragement rarely arrives all at once. It grows little by little through unanswered questions, delayed prayers, and repeated disappointments. It whispers that nothing will ever change, and that your efforts no longer matter. Think of Elijah after one of the greatest victories of his life. He had witnessed my power in extraordinary ways, yet shortly afterward he found himself exhausted, afraid, and convinced that he was completely alone. His circumstances had not changed as much as his perspective had. I did not condemn Elijah for feeling weak. Instead, I met him with compassion. I gave him rest before I gave him a new direction. Sometimes your soul becomes weary simply because you have carried too much for too long. If discouragement has found its way into your heart, remember this. Your feelings are real, but they are not always reliable. Bring your weariness to me, instead of allowing it to convince you that hope has disappeared. The third trap is bitterness. Bitterness often begins as untreated pain. Someone hurt you. Someone disappointed you. Someone broke a promise. Without realizing it, you continue carrying those wounds long after the moment has passed. Bitterness does not imprison the person who hurt you. It imprisons you. Forgiveness does not declare that what happened was acceptable. Forgiveness simply places justice back into my hands, instead of allowing anger to rule your heart. Every time you choose forgiveness, you make room for peace to return. Healing begins when you trust me with the pain you can no longer carry by yourself. The fourth trap is impatience. Waiting has never been easy, yet impatience has caused many people to step ahead of my timing. They become so focused on escaping today's discomfort that they settle for something far less than what I had prepared. Remember Martha when Lazarus died. Her heart was filled with grief, and she believed I had arrived too late. She could only see what had already been lost. She did not yet realize that I was preparing to reveal something far greater than she imagined. How often do you do the same? You pray, then immediately begin looking for another way because you believe I am taking too long. Do not confuse waiting with wasting. Every season has a purpose, and every purpose has an appointed time. The blessing that arrives according to my timing will always bring greater peace than the opportunity you force open on your own. The fifth trap is fear. Fear has a way of making tomorrow appear larger than my promises. It fills your mind with possibilities that have never happened and may never happen. It convinces you to remain where it feels safe instead of following where I am leading. Faith does not mean you never feel afraid. Faith means you choose to trust me more than you trust your fear. Many of my children have discovered that courage is not the absence of uncertainty. Courage is taking one faithful step even while uncertainty still exists. Perhaps one of these quiet traps has slowly found a place in your own heart. If so, do not respond with shame. Respond with honesty. Bring it into my presence. The moment truth enters your heart, darkness begins to lose its power. Take a moment today to ask yourself, which of these 5 traps have I allowed to shape my thinking? Do not ask the question to condemn yourself. Ask it, because healing always begins with honesty. As you recognize what has been weighing your heart down, release it to me one burden at a time. You were never created to carry comparison, discouragement, bitterness, impatience, or fear by yourself. Remember, I am not preparing you merely to survive another difficult season. I am preparing you to live with freedom. That freedom begins inside your heart long before it becomes visible in your circumstances. And that brings us to another beautiful truth. Before I transform the world around you, I often begin by restoring something much closer, your own heart. In the next part, I want to show you why the deepest miracles are often the ones that happen within you before anyone else can see them. There are wounds that no one else has seen, but I have never looked away from them. I know the smiles you have worn while your heart was quietly breaking. I have seen the tears that never reached another person's eyes. I know the conversations you replay in your mind, the regrets you wish you could erase, and the disappointments you have carried for far too long. Others may only see your strength, but I have always seen your hidden pain, and through every moment, I have never left your side. Many people come to me asking for a changed situation. They ask me to restore a relationship, remove a burden, provide financial security, or open a new door. I welcome every prayer because I care about every part of your life. But before I change what surrounds you, I often begin by healing what lives within you. A healed heart can carry blessings that a wounded heart often cannot. That is why my work begins deeper than circumstances. I do not simply want to improve your life. I want to restore your soul. One of the first steps toward healing is forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the hardest journeys a person can take because pain has a way of convincing you to keep holding on. You may believe that refusing to forgive somehow protects you from being hurt again, but the truth is that unforgiveness quietly keeps yesterday alive inside today's heart. Forgiveness does not mean pretending that nothing happened. It does not excuse betrayal. It does not erase injustice. Instead, forgiveness is choosing to place your pain into my hands instead of allowing it to continue controlling your future. When you forgive, you are not setting the other person free. You are allowing your own heart to become free. Peace follows forgiveness. The world often believes peace comes when every problem disappears, but my peace is different. My peace can remain even when life still feels uncertain. It is the quiet confidence that you are not facing tomorrow alone. There will always be situations beyond your control. There will always be questions that remain unanswered for a season. But when your heart learns to rest in me, peace no longer depends on perfect circumstances. It grows from trusting that my presence is enough, even while the story is still unfolding. Another gift I desire to place within you is gratitude. Gratitude does not ignore pain. It simply refuses to allow pain to become the only thing you can see. There are seasons when it seems as though nothing is going right. Yet even then, there are quiet reminders of my goodness, a sunrise that brings hope, a friend who calls at the right moment, strength to face another day, or a promise in my word that speaks directly to your heart. A grateful heart begins noticing these small gifts. The more you recognize them, the more clearly you begin to see that I have never stopped caring for you. Healing also reaches places that words cannot easily describe. Some wounds are emotional. Some were created by rejection. Others were formed through disappointment, grief, loneliness, or years of believing you were never enough. You may have learned to hide those wounds so well that even those closest to you cannot see them. But I see them. I know exactly where your heart began building walls. I know why trusting others became difficult. I know why certain memories still bring tears. Nothing about your story has ever been hidden from me, and nothing is beyond my ability to restore. Think about Job. He experienced unimaginable loss. His possessions disappeared, his children were gone, his health failed. Even those closest to him struggled to understand his pain. Yet before I restored everything he had lost, I was doing something even greater within him. Through suffering, Job came to know me more deeply than ever before. His circumstances were eventually restored, but the greatest miracle was the deeper relationship that had been formed between us. Now remember Peter. Peter loved me deeply, yet he also knew what it felt like to fail. On the night of my arrest, fear overcame him, and he denied even knowing me. Imagine the shame he carried after hearing the rooster crow. He believed his greatest failure had permanently defined him. But I did not meet Peter with condemnation. I met him at a restaurant. Beside another fire, I gave him the opportunity to declare his love 3 times, not to embarrass him, but to remind him that my grace is always greater than his failure. Before Peter became one of the boldest leaders of the early church, I first healed the wound that guilt had left behind. That is how I work. I restore hearts before I expand assignments. One of the greatest mistakes people make is praying only for changed circumstances while ignoring the condition of their own hearts. They ask for a better future while continuing to carry yesterday's pain. They pray for new relationships while refusing to release old bitterness. They seek outward success without allowing me to bring inward healing. But success without wholeness will never satisfy the deepest needs of your soul. The world celebrates success. I desire wholeness. Success may change how people see you. Wholeness changes how you live. Success can fill your schedule. Wholeness fills your heart. Never believe that emotional healing is a sign of weakness. It is one of the greatest demonstrations of courage. Every time you bring another broken place into my presence, you allow my love to reach areas that fear has tried to keep hidden for years. So today, stop asking only, Lord, when will my situation change? Also ask, Lord, what part of my heart are you inviting me to heal today? That prayer opens the door to a freedom that no circumstance can ever provide. As your heart becomes whole, you will begin to notice something beautiful. Your desires will slowly change. The things that once defined success will no longer matter as much. Instead, you will begin recognizing the quiet signs that a new season is already beginning. And that is exactly what I want to show you next. Most people expect dramatic signs, but my work often begins quietly. Many people spend their lives waiting for a single moment that will suddenly change everything. They expect lightning from the sky, an unmistakable miracle, or an answer so dramatic that there can be no doubt it came from me. While I certainly have the power to work in extraordinary ways, that is not how I usually begin. More often than not, my work starts in quiet places. Just as dawn begins long before the sun appears over the horizon, a new season in your life often begins before you recognize it. By the time you notice what I am doing, I have already been working for weeks, months, or even years. That is why I want you to recognize the signs that I am already leading you into something new. The first sign is peace. Not the kind of peace that comes because every problem has disappeared, but the peace that quietly settles into your heart even while questions remain unanswered. Circumstances may still look uncertain, yet something inside you is no longer ruled by panic. Perhaps the situation has not changed, but you have. That peace is often my gentle reminder that I am still leading you. It does not always remove every storm, but it gives you confidence that you are not facing the storm alone. The second sign is wisdom. When I prepare you for a new season, I often begin changing the way you think before I change where you are going. You begin making decisions with greater patience. You no longer react to every emotion. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" you begin asking, "What honors me?" That quiet shift is not an accident. It is evidence that my spirit is maturing your heart. The third sign is new opportunities. These opportunities are not always large or impressive. Sometimes they arrive as an unexpected conversation, a chance to serve, an invitation you never expected, or a door that opens naturally without manipulation or fear. Do not overlook small beginnings. Many of my greatest plans have started with one ordinary conversation, one act of obedience, or one unexpected meeting. A seed does not look like a forest, yet everything a forest needs already exists within it. The fourth sign is changed desires. One of the clearest ways I prepare you for a new season is by changing what your heart longs for. Things that once seemed essential begin losing their importance. Old habits no longer satisfy you. Goals that were built on pride slowly fade away. Instead, you begin longing for peace more than recognition. You value purpose more than popularity. You desire faithfulness more than applause. When your desires begin changing, it is often because I am preparing you for blessings that require a different heart than the one you once had. The fifth sign is healthy relationships. As seasons change, relationships often change as well. Some people are brought into your life to encourage your faith. Others quietly drift away because they were only meant to walk with you for part of the journey. Do not become afraid every time a relationship changes. Not everyone is assigned to every chapter of your life. As I lead you forward, I often surround you with people who encourage wisdom, honesty, kindness, and hope. These relationships become reminders that I never intended for you to walk alone. The sixth sign is renewed strength. You may still become tired, but you are no longer defeated. You wake up with hope where there was once only exhaustion. The burdens that once felt impossible become lighter because you have stopped carrying them by yourself. Others may wonder what changed. The answer is simple. You are learning to rely on my strength instead of your own. That is why you can continue moving forward, even when the road remains difficult. The seventh sign is greater trust. This is perhaps the greatest sign of all. You begin needing fewer explanations because you know my character. You stop demanding immediate answers for every question. You become willing to walk one faithful step at a time. Your confidence no longer depends on understanding everything that lies ahead. It rests in knowing the one who is already there. That kind of trust cannot be manufactured overnight. It grows through every season we have already walked through together. However, I also want to protect you from a common mistake. Many people misunderstand what it means to receive a sign from me. Some spend all their time chasing extraordinary experiences while ignoring the quiet work I am already doing every day. They believe every coincidence must carry a hidden message, or they refuse to move forward until they receive another dramatic confirmation. Be careful not to let the search for signs replace a relationship with me. My guidance is never meant to create confusion. It leads to peace, wisdom, and faithfulness. If something fills your heart with fear, pride, or constant anxiety, do not rush to call it my voice. I do not lead my children by confusion. I lead them through truth, through my word, through the quiet work of my spirit, and through wisdom that produces lasting peace. Think of a gardener walking through an orchard. He does not become discouraged because the fruit is still small. He recognizes the early signs that healthy growth is already taking place. In the same way, do not despise the small changes you see in your own life. Celebrate the growing peace. Celebrate the renewed hope. Celebrate every act of obedience. Celebrate every step of healing. These are often the first signs that a new season has already begun. So instead of constantly asking, Lord, where is the next miracle? Begin asking, Lord, help me recognize what you are already doing. That simple prayer will open your eyes to blessings you may have overlooked for far too long. And once you begin recognizing the signs of a new season, another important question naturally follows. If I am opening new doors and leading you into what you have been praying for, are you truly prepared to carry what I am about to place into your hands? That is where I want to lead your heart next. The question is no longer whether I can bless you. The real question is whether you are prepared to steward the blessing. For a long time, your prayers may have sounded like this: Lord, bless me. Open the door. Restore what has been broken. Give me the opportunity I have been waiting for. I have heard every one of those prayers. Not one has been forgotten. But today, I want to gently ask you a different question. If I answered that prayer today, would you be ready to carry what you have been asking for? This is not a question meant to discourage you. It is an invitation to prepare your heart. Many people believe the greatest challenge is receiving a blessing. In truth, the greater challenge is remaining faithful after the blessing arrives. Blessings are never meant to be owned carelessly. They are meant to be stewarded faithfully. Stewardship is one of the greatest principles of my kingdom. It means recognizing that everything you have, your time, your abilities, your resources, your relationships, and even your influence is ultimately a gift entrusted to you. A faithful steward does not ask, how much can I keep for myself? Instead, they ask, Lord, how can I honor you with what you have placed in my hands? This principle applies to every area of your life. If you have prayed for a stronger family, are you preparing to invest more patience, forgiveness, and love into those relationships? If you have prayed for greater provision, are you already showing wisdom with what you have today? If you have asked me for new opportunities, are you being faithful with the opportunities already before you? Faithfulness always begins before increase. Many people believe they will become faithful after receiving more. But my kingdom works differently. Those who are faithful with little become ready for much. That is why I told the parable of the talents. A master entrusted different amounts to each servant before leaving on a journey. He did not expect them all to receive the same responsibility. He expected each one to be faithful with what had already been entrusted to them. The servants who invested wisely were given greater responsibility, not simply because they produced results, but because they proved themselves trustworthy. The servant who buried his talent allowed fear to make his decisions instead of faith. Notice that the greatest difference between them was not opportunity. It was stewardship. The same lesson still speaks today. Do not underestimate what I have already placed in your hands simply because it seems small. Small acts of faithfulness prepare you for greater assignments than you can imagine. Consider Noah. Before anyone else believed, Noah remained faithful to the instructions I gave him. Year after year, he continued building the ark without seeing rain. People may have questioned him. Some may have laughed at him. Yet Noah did not measure success by public approval. He measured it by obedience. By the time the flood came, the ark was already finished. His years of quiet faithfulness became the very thing that preserved life. Now think about Joshua. After Moses led my people through the wilderness, Joshua was entrusted with leading them into the promised land. That responsibility did not begin on the day he became leader. It had been developing for years while he served faithfully, learned quietly, and trusted me, even when he was not the one standing in the spotlight. Preparation often happens in hidden places. Promotion simply reveals what preparation has already produced. Perhaps you have been asking me for something greater influence, greater opportunities, greater peace, greater resources. Those are not wrong desires. But before asking for more, pause and ask yourself another question. What am I doing with what God has already given me? That simple question has the power to transform your perspective. One of the clearest signs that your heart is ready for greater blessings is responsibility. Responsibility is not merely accepting more tasks. It is understanding that every decision matters. The words you speak inside your home matter. The kindness you show to strangers matters. The promises you keep matter. The integrity you display when no one is watching matters. Every small act of obedience becomes part of the foundation upon which greater blessings can safely rest. Another mark of spiritual maturity is generosity. The world often teaches people to hold tightly to everything they receive. My kingdom teaches something different. Generosity is not measured only by money. Sometimes generosity is offering encouragement to someone who feels forgotten. Sometimes it is giving your time to a lonely neighbor. Sometimes it is extending forgiveness when resentment seems easier. Sometimes it is praying faithfully for someone who can give you nothing in return. A generous heart reflects my heart. The more freely you receive my love, the more naturally you begin sharing it with others. Think about your own life today. Perhaps your greatest stewardship is not a business or a ministry. Perhaps it is your family. Perhaps it is the wisdom you pass on to your children or grandchildren. Perhaps it is your example of faith during difficult seasons. Never underestimate the influence of a life lived with quiet faithfulness. The world often celebrates those who stand on large stages. Heaven also celebrates those who remain faithful in ordinary places. The husband or wife who continues loving with patience. The grandparent who faithfully prays for the next generation. The friend who quietly encourages others without seeking recognition. The believer who chooses honesty when compromise would be easier. These acts may seem small on earth, but they carry eternal value in my kingdom. So do not become discouraged if your life feels ordinary today. Ordinary faithfulness prepares you for extraordinary purposes. Continue serving. Continue loving. Continue trusting. Continue honoring me with whatever I have already placed into your hands. Because when your heart learns to steward small blessings well, you will discover that I can entrust you with even greater ones. And now, as we come near the end of this journey together, I want to invite you to look back over everything we have shared. The waiting, the silence, the closed doors, the healing, the lessons, and the quiet preparation were never separate stories. They have always been part of one beautiful purpose that I have been writing over your life from the very beginning. That is where we will go in the final part. There will come a day when every unanswered prayer, every delay, and every painful season will finally make sense. Perhaps that day has not arrived yet. There are still questions you carry. There are still prayers you are waiting to see answered. There are still moments from your past that seem impossible to understand. But I want you to know this. Nothing you have walked through has been meaningless. From the very beginning, I have been writing a story greater than the one you could see. When I called you, you did not understand where the journey would lead. When I asked you to wait, you thought nothing was happening. When heaven became quiet, you wondered if I had forgotten you. When doors closed, you feared you were being rejected. When I was refining your heart, you wished I would simply remove the struggle. When I was healing your wounds, you thought I was delaying your future. Yet through every season, I was doing exactly what was needed at exactly the right time. Look back for just a moment. The calling awakened your faith. The waiting strengthened your patience. The silence deepened your trust. The closed doors became protection. The refining shaped your character. The healing restored your heart. And through it all, I was leading you toward a purpose far greater than you could have imagined. You are not the same person who first began this journey. Once, fear spoke louder than faith. Now you are learning to trust even when you cannot see. Once, every delay felt like disappointment. Now you understand that my timing is always wiser than your own. Once, you searched for dramatic signs. Now you recognize me in quiet moments of peace, wisdom, and faithful obedience. That is the miracle many people never notice. The greatest transformation was never only around you. It happened within you. Think of a tree that has stood through countless seasons. The storms did not destroy it. The droughts did not end its life. Every difficult season forced its roots to grow deeper. Years later, those same roots became the reason it could stand strong while others fell. In the same way, every challenge you placed into my hands became part of the foundation I was building beneath your life. One day you will look back and realize that some of the prayers I answered with weight became your greatest blessings. Some of the prayers I answered with no became your greatest protection. And some of the prayers I answered in ways you never expected became the very testimony that encouraged someone else to keep believing. So, do not lose heart. The chapter you are living today is not the final chapter. I am still writing your story. I am still opening the right doors. I am still restoring what seemed impossible. I am still making beauty from ashes. I have not forgotten a single promise I have spoken over your life. Before we finish, I want you to pray with me. Father, thank you for every season, even the ones I did not understand. Thank you for staying with me through the waiting, the silence, the disappointments, and the victories. Continue shaping my heart so that I will trust your timing above my own. Help me to recognize your voice, follow your wisdom, and remain faithful wherever you lead me. Fill my heart with peace, strengthen my faith, and use my life to reflect your love to others. In Jesus' name, Amen. Thank you for allowing me to walk with you through these moments today. Remember, you never walk alone. I have been with you from the beginning, I am with you today, and I will remain with you in every season that is still to come. If this message has strengthened your faith, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so you won't miss the messages I have prepared for you in the days ahead. And if these words encouraged your heart, share this message with someone who may be quietly waiting for hope. Your simple act of kindness may become the answer to someone else's prayer. Until we meet again, keep listening, keep trusting, and keep walking with me. The best part of your story is not behind you, it is still unfolding, one faithful step at a time.